Time is never found again. Or is it? By blahblahblah1703. Chapter 20. I am completely on edge. I know someone is here. I just don't know who. I can't remember who I'm missing in my count. Marvel, Cato, Clove. The 3 remaining careers. I assume the boy from 3 is also with them, like last time. And then there is Foxface, Rue, and Thresh. Obviously Peter and I. There are 2 more. It doesn't matter who is here. It isn't Peter, and it isn't Rue. That means they are dangerous, and I can't lead them to the cave and put the others in danger. I'm going to have to either get away or take care of it. I haven't killed anyone this time around, and I really hope I can keep that going until the end. I keep walking, hoping the other person will get clumsy with their steps again. It is obvious this person is pretty light on their feet, but they aren't practiced like Peter and I are. Eventually, it all comes to a head. I am just about to walk past a large tree, and the girl from District 10 jumps out at me. She looks almost deranged. Her hair is tangled, and it has leaves and sticks sticking out of it. Her pigtails she started with are nowhere to be seen. Her jacket is half burnt. I guess she must have been caught in the Game Maker fire as well. The manic look in her eye is what makes me say deranged, though. I can see that starvation has taken its toll also. She was already pretty small to begin with. Even if she was bigger than most of the other girls, she still wasn't large, but now she has barely any fat on her. I feel so much pity that it almost overwhelms me. She must have smelled me cooking and been unable to resist. She has a gleaming knife in her hand, and a small pack on her back. She runs at me wildly. I have to jump out of the way, but even then she slices the top of my arm slightly. Even half-starved, this girl is fast. She whirls around and I'm firing before I even think about it. It really is just a trigger reaction. She barely dodges out of the way. Then she is running at me again, still waving her knife around wildly. This time she slices pretty deep in my side. It doesn't hit anything vital, but it is bleeding heavily and hurts like hell. She goes to take another swing, and I don't even load my bow. I just use the arrow in my hand. She stops immediately. She looks at me in shock before she pulls the arrow from her chest, something that will make her die even quicker. However, because of where I stabbed her, when her knees buckle, she is dead before she even hits the ground. I close my eyes as the cannon goes off. I did it. I killed someone again. I shake myself off and go to search her. I roll her over and grab her pack. I take the knife from her hand, as well as pick up my arrows, the one from when I fired, and the one covered in her blood. When I stand up, I close her eyes, and set her up to look like she is sleeping. I give her the district salute, and then I am off, running back to the cave. I know that Peter will be going out of his mind because of that cannon. Showing up 2 hours later would just put him in a tailspin. So, I run. I turn my 2-hour hike into a 20-minute run. It would have been shorter, but my side is slowing me down. I am breathing heavily when I reach the river, but I have to slow down and be quiet, so that I don't alert anyone to my position. My wound is now bleeding super heavily. I keep my hand pressed against it, trying to stop the bleeding, but I can feel it making its way down my side, my shirt and sleeve jacket completely soaked with it. I slip into the cave quietly, and am met by Rue sleeping fitfully on the blanket bed, and Peter pacing, back and forth across the cave. It's only a few steps, and he has to duck mostly, but it is obvious he couldn't sit still if he tried. "Peter," I whisper. He almost jumps, whipping around to face me. He doesn't say anything, just marches straight towards me and grabs me in his arms. The embrace is tighter than usual, not that I blame him. "Goodness," he whispers into my hair over and over again. I shush him quietly, trying to get him to calm down, but my adrenaline from today is also fading. With everything that happened with Rue this morning, and now this, today hasn't been great. Eventually, Peter stops shaking and is able to pull back slightly, but he still keeps his arms wrapped around my waist. That's when he sees the new pack on my back. His eyes lock in on it. "Goodness," he trails off. I turn my head to the side, unable to look at him. Yes, we have both killed before, but that does not make this any easier. I can hear when he sees my wound. His sharp intake of breath tells me everything I have to know. He quickly lets me go and almost falls over trying to get the first aid kit from the pack. Eventually he succeeds and brings it over to where I am standing. He ushers for me to lay down on my uninjured side and helps me get my jacket off. He starts to lift my shirt, but stops himself and whips off his own jacket, his face bright red as he hands it to me. I take it and cover myself as I slip my shirt up and over my head. "Now, you know you're supposed to be the healer," he tells me, both frantically worried, but also trying to lighten the mood. "No, that's my mum and my sister. I usually run in the opposite direction," I tell him truthfully, wincing at the water being poured over my wound. I can only imagine how everyone back home is reacting. Every single person who has been to see my mum, or gone with someone to see my mum, knows my tendency to leave as soon as somebody comes in the door. I've gotten better in the last few months, trying to learn everything I could for the games, but I still hate it. "You know more than your fair share. Don't be so humble now, because you're going to have to walk me through this," he tells me seriously. I turn my head to look at my wound, seeing where he has rinsed it off while we were talking. "It's pretty deep. I might need stitches," I tell him, causing absolute panic to build in his eyes. "Calm down. Look in the medkit and see if there are paper stitches. Otherwise, you're going to have to sew me up," I tell him, getting more and more tired by the minute. He nods his head and rummages through the kit, becoming more and more panicked when he can't find any. "There isn't any. There's no needle or thread," he says. "Take a deep breath. You're panicking. It's okay. I'm okay," I tell him in the most soothing voice I can muster up. He nods and closes his eyes for a minute. After a few seconds, his breaths calm down slightly, and his hands stop shaking, something I am grateful for because he is going to have to sew me up. "Peter," I whisper, "you need to get the fishing line and hook," I tell him, thankful we haven't used it yet. He looks at me wide-eyed but determined and nods his head. He gathers the items we need and goes to put the gloves on. At that moment, we hear the beeping. A parachute is coming down near us. Peter looks at me, once again wide-eyed, but this time he is also hopeful. He jumps up and rushes outside to grab the parachute, coming back in before he opens it. Once he does, he deflates slightly. It's not paper stitches, which would have been so much easier. Instead, it is an actual needle and thread, with a bottle of rubbing alcohol, probably for disinfecting the needle. I am prepared to use it on myself also. Peter gathers himself and puts the gloves on. I tell him what to do, step by step. Disinfect the needle with the rubbing alcohol. Disinfect my wound with the rubbing alcohol. But before that, give me something to bite down on. Curse Hamish for not sending sleep syrup or something similar. Once he is all set up, I still have the extra sock in my mouth to bite on, as tears roll down my face. He looks at me so concerned, but I just nod at him once. He nods back and starts my stitches. I can feel every time he pokes through my skin, and every time he pulls the thread through it. It hurts so bad, but I grit my teeth around the sock and bear it. I'm done. You're okay," Peter tells me, and quickly cutting the thread with his Swiss Army knife and scissors, and making a decent knot to finish it off. He then puts a quick bandage on it, keeping it secure with medical tape. I just lay back, breathing heavily. He leans over and kisses my forehead. He then leans his forehead against mine, both our eyes close. "It's okay. You're okay. I'm glad you're safe," he says. That's all he can say. I tuck my head under his chin and just lean against him for a minute, needing the reassurance and the feeling of safety he brings me. He moves and hands me a water bottle. I take a few sips as I relax back into the blankets. He hands me a grizzling leg and a few of the roots and mushrooms, which I don't eat, my stomach rolling from both the blood and the pain. "I'll eat when I wake up," I tell him sleepily, something he doesn't look super convinced of, but nods his head anyway. He then starts, jumping up and grabbing a few of the leaves, putting them in his mouth and chewing them up. I watch him make quick work of putting it on Rue's sting, and then he slides up next to me, pulling me into his lap, very carefully, resting my head on his lap. He quickly unbraids my hair and runs his fingers through it, gently getting all the knots out, but mostly just doing it to comfort me. And I can admit, it is working. "Go to sleep, cat," he says. "I'll be right here when you wake up. You're safe. I got you," he continues. "Stay with me?" I ask him, already mostly asleep. The last thing I hear before I am fully out. "Always." End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. By the way, the Hunger Games use of always, I much prefer to Harry Potter's. Anyway, oh cat. Having to kill for the first time again. Can't imagine what that must be like. Peter being MVP green flag boyfriend again. Her having to coach him through sewing her up, even though he's never healed before. But him trusting her expertise so well, even when she doesn't. Jeez Louise, these two. Soulmates or what? Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.